She took me by surprise when I looked into the eyes of a girl so beautiful and so delightful. With luscious hair and bright red skin, her passion knows no bounds. You'll fall in love with this gorgeous sun tonight, 'cause she's the ruby, singer by the sea, fulfilling all your fantasies. Called the ruby, if you follow down her horns, it'll always lead to more. Ruby, ruby, ruby. Ruby. Yeah, I think that song is starting to grow on me. It's Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for me to share my first impressions of Vox Machina Season 3, specifically episodes 4 through 6. The usual disclaimers apply. Number 1, there will be spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, episodes 4 through 6, you might want to stop the video here. You've been warned. Number 2, these are my first impressions. They might change later, specifically in a month when I review this season. And that is a big part of the fun of it. And number 3, I am yet to see the corresponding episodes of Campaign 1 of Critical Role. So I may point out things or make references or have theories about stuff that are clearly clarified and explained in the campaign. But again, that's also the fun of it. I will check those out after I finish watching Season 3 of The Legend of Vox Machina. All right, we have a lot to cover, so let's jump right into it with Hell to Pay. So as I said last week, the first 3 episodes of this season were loaded. So much happened in just 3 freaking episodes, and the pace was non-stop. The show was just moving for 3 whole episodes. So finally, in episode 4, the show finally slowed down to a nice even pace. But ironically, this happens during the episode where they go to hell. We kick off with Pike having a vision where she is, again, having a crisis of faith. She is not sure about her connection with the Everlight. I am sure that this was crafted specifically to give Pike, i.e. Ashley, more to do during this section of the campaign, as I'm pretty sure she wasn't present while they were playing this particular chapter, as she was in New York filming yet another season of Blind Spot. So they are in Dis, the capital of hell, surrounded by demons and the damned, and they stick out like sore thumbs. So Scanlan casts Disguise. They all transform. They all look like fearsome, terrifying demons, except for Pike. She still looks adorable. And they begin to traverse the capital of hell. As they're going by, of course, they have to deceive a few demons, and Keyleth does her absolute best to put on a front, and she sees a demon eating this demonic-looking worm, so she picks up a worm as well and tries to eat it, and it's hilarious, and Marisha did a fantastic job during the scene, but it was good enough to fool the demons, so they keep going further into the city. We cut back to Allura, Percy, and Vex, who are currently trapped in an ice cave in Draconia, waiting for Virgal to hopefully go away so they can exit the cavern and look for Kima. And we see right away, they establish right away that with Kima in danger, with Kima missing, Allura is not her usual composed, regal self. She is panicking, she's being very rash, and Percy and Vexalia are noticeably concerned. So we cut back to hell. Our heroes are still making their way through the city. The further they go into the city, Pike keeps feeling worse and worse and worse, like she's losing her connection to the Everlight. She sees this poor woman who is being tortured, and she goes over there to try and redeem her and make her feel better. But the moment that she activates her holy powers, her radiant energy, all the demons take notice of her. They start screeching, and the screeching breaks Scanlan's concentration, and the disguise spell goes off, and the demons can see them as they are. So they start hauling ass with everything in hell chasing after them. Awesome chase scene, when suddenly they start to hear Xerxes, the demon that they're looking for, calling to them, drawing them into his palace at the middle, at the center, at the heart of the city. So they head there. The door is opened for them by his lackey, Yank, and they go inside and they meet Xerxes Eyeless, played by none other than the great Luis Carrasco, who also played Xerxes in Exandria Unlimited Calamity, which, if you haven't seen, I highly, highly recommend. It is a standalone a series of one-shots, like a mini-series that works in the periphery of the main campaign of Critical Role and explains the events leading up to the Calamity. And our heroes go in and they ask him for the plate of the Dawn Martyr, but he says that that's not the way it works. In hell, you have to make a deal. You have to earn it. So he challenges Pike to a game of chance, and she accepts. So the rest of the members of Vox Machina are sequestered within a barrier where they get to sit in some plush ass chairs. So the name of the game is Five Skulls. They both get their cards and they can ask each other whatever questions they want in order to find the black skull in each other's deck. Immediately, Pike starts asking very basic questions dealing with the game, but Xerxes plays pretty dirty, even though he sticks to the rules of the game, and he is asking her very personal questions that make her nervous, and when she gets nervous, he accidentally gives away the position of the black skull in her deck. It's a wonderful scene with excellent pacing. Both Luis Carrasco and Ashley Johnson did a magnificent job. Pike loses the first round, meaning that now she has to stay in his realm forever, be his permanent guest. So Pike challenges him to a second round, all or nothing. This time, she offers him all of Vox Machina. And he can't turn that down, so they go for a second game, but this time, Pike is more crafty. Now she knows how to play the game properly, and she tricks Xerxes into revealing his backstory, into talking a little bit of himself and how he ended up there in this. And we get a little summary of the Calamity. We find out his backstory. We get to see the brass ring and all the characters from Exandria Unlimited. And as soon as Pike knows that, she knows exactly the question that she needs to ask. She asks him, do you wish your family was here? And it breaks him. His bravado, his swagger, it completely goes out the window, and Pike is in control. She knows what the card is, and she wins the game. Vox Machina is saved, and she wins the plate of the Dawn Martyr. Pike gets her vestige, and something that I want to reveal to you guys, you might find my naivete refreshing, but the whole time that they've been hunting for the plate of the Dawn Martyr, I kept thinking to myself that, okay, they're just going to use this thing against the dragon, they're all going to use it. Never did I think, in spite of the fact that I've watched season 2 about 50 times already, never did I think that it would go to a particular person, let alone Pike, and now it makes all the sense in the world that Pike would be the one to get this vestige. So there you go. So they bid their farewells. Vox Machina leaves his palace, but Xerxes is not done with them. He calls on his minion, Yank, and he tells them that it's only a matter of time before he emerges or arises. Who is he? Don't know yet, but if I had to guess, I would say is Vecna, the whispered one, the final boss. Anyway, after telling this to Yank, he tells him, go after them, spare Pike, but kill the rest. So now they have friggin' Yank on their tail. Moving on to the Frigid Waste. We open with a scene that I'm pretty sure is not in the campaign, because in the campaign we don't get to see anything, the events, from the point of view of anyone outside of Vox Machina. So we get to see this flashback where we see Alora Vaisurin with her adventuring party, which I used to think was called the Arcanum Pansophical, but it's not. That's a whole other group that she's a part of. Apparently, her adventuring party doesn't have a name. I think we should give it one. I think we should all like send in names, but for her adventuring party. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, with her, of course, are Kima and Dola, who we've met, but also very popular character from her adventuring party, Drake Thunderbrand. This show being played as per usual by Matt Mercer. And there's also a really tall, beautiful elven woman. I think that's either Gen or Cyrus. So the only two options left. So it's one or the other. I don't know which one. Feel free to let me know if you know. Anyway, the point of this is we get to see the moment where Allura and Kima fell in love. They fight Chimera together, which I believe is Ronan's favorite monster, Ronan being Travis and Laura's son. Anyway, if I'm wrong, I apologize, Ronan. They fight a Chimera together. Kima steps up, delivers the finishing blow, saves the day, and we see the moment where they fall in love. This major moment. We actually get to see it in the animated show, where I'm pretty sure we don't get to see in the campaign. We cut to Grog, Pike, Vax, Keyleth, and Scanlan, who are still running from Yank. Put a pin on that, we'll come back to it in a minute. We officially cut back to Draconia, where we see that Lady Kima is hiding while Virgal is stalking her. The rest of the party is trying to figure out what to do, but Allura just goes off gun-ho, not thinking, and tries to take on Virgal on her own. So Vex and Percy split up to help either one. During the battle, Kima falls into another precipice and is thankfully saved by Vexalia by the use of the Fendris bow. Percy goes to help Allura, who nearly gets impaled on the roots of a tree and is at the mercy of Virgal, but thankfully Percy shows up and lures the ice dragon away, back to the thin ice that he noticed earlier. Idea. Percy is at the mercy of Virgal. Virgal is getting closer and closer and closer, and Percy is cornered and has bad news in his hands, and he delivers Taliesin Jaffe's catchphrase while he is playing during the campaign, which is "fuck it, let's get weird." And whenever he says that, whatever he does next, whether it's good or bad, whether it succeeds or fails, it's gonna be awesome. And so what he does is that he, instead of firing at the dragon, he fires at the thin ice, makes it crack, and Virgal falls into the icy waters. Meanwhile, the other half of the party has reached the spot where they opened the portal, and now Keyleth has started to try and open it from their side, but they need the other half of the party to open it from their side so they can get through. The party at Draconia is reunited. Allura makes reference to Virgal's toothy maw. They run back into the cavern to open the portal from their side for the rest of the party, but unfortunately Virgal has caught up with them, and he is at the mouth of the cave trying to break in and eat them. On the other side of the portal, the rest of the party is trying to fight off Yank. All the while, Keyleth is trying to, again, open the portal. Pike takes some initiative and decides to put the plate of the Dawn Martyr to work and absorb Yank's fire and shoot it back at him. And it works, but it completely burns all of her hair off, and she is almost as bald as Grog, but who shows up just in time, grabs her, and takes her back to Keyleth. Thankfully, via Keyleth and Allura's efforts, they manage to open the portal, and that particular half of the party runs through, but Yank is right behind them. It follows them back to Draconia. But in one of the coolest moments in this season so far, they used both of their problems to solve each other. Yank runs right into Virgal, Virgal runs right into Yank, and they decide to fight each other, and it is badass. There is a moment when Yank gives Virgal a stone cold stunner, and I'm telling you, the Rings of Power are cool, but they don't have a scene like that. During their battle, Yank manages to put a pretty sizable wound in Virgal's chest, and eventually, even though eventually Virgal does manage to defeat him, he breathes ice into his mouth and ice shatters inside of him, kills him. Yank is out of the picture. He is done. But now Virgal is wounded, so Vox Machina, Allura, and Kima jump into action. They start fighting the creature. Kima takes initiative and grabs Scanlan's sword, Myth Carver, goes straight to Virgal, throws the sword right into the wound, and uses her hammer to drive it in further, basically giving him a mortal wound. Like, if he doesn't deal with this right away, he is going to be out. But he's now being swarmed by every single party member. They are taking him down. And what I love about this sequence is that you can see how proficient they've gotten at fighting dragons. Vex gets one of her brilliant ideas, brings Keyleth onto her broom and asks her, can you cast magic onto a moving object? She says, I can certainly try. And so she fires an arrow. She casts a, tree growing spell onto the arrow. The arrow goes inside the wound, inside Virgal, and it becomes a tree, just tearing him apart. He hits the ground with the tree growing inside of him, and he's just pathetically dying slowly until Kima walks up to him, delivers her action hero line, and puts him out of his misery with her warhammer. And in true Matt Mercer fashion, this is when Allura and Kima kiss, but of course they kiss covered in dragon entrails, which is hilarious. While this tender moment is happening, Percy notices a few of Virgal's scales, dragon scales, on the ground. He looks at them. Dragon scales. Idea. We cut to Iman, where we find that Thordak is aware that Virgal has died. He is pissed. We can also see that the eggs have started to hatch. Baby dragons are all over the place. And he's trying to figure out what the first target is going to be when none other than Dr. Anna Ripley shows up and offers her aid, her counsel to Thordak, offers him a potential target for his babies. And we cut back to Draconia. Our heroes are recuperating after the epic battles that they just had. Pike uses her healing powers to bring her hair back. It's pretty hilarious. And they ask Allura if they can teleport back, or more specifically, if they can bamf back Nightcrawler style, but she can't. She used all of her power for today during the battle, so she's gonna need to rest. So Scanlan offers them the opportunity to rest in his home away from home, his secret club, his magnificent mansion, or as we come to know it, the Chateau de Short Halt. Everybody's confused. What the heck is going on? So he says, I'll need a door. So again, after campaign 1, a door once again comes to the rescue. Grog finds a door in the ruins of one of the structures that Virgal crashed through. He takes the door, he sets it up. Scanlan puts his magic key, which he got from Umbraseal's Horde. He sticks it in the key lock, opens it, and it opens the door into the Magnificent Mansion, which plays a major role in the campaign way before this. He had it while they were in the Fey Realm. He had it while they were infiltrating Westruun, but we finally get to see the Magnificent Mansion in the show. The door opens, and we cut to the next episode, The Coming Storm. We pick up exactly where we left off. Our heroes are walking into the Magnificent Mansion and seeing it for the first time. There are Easter eggs aplenty. I am not going to point them all out. I'll be here all day. Plus, there are really amazing people right here on YouTube that do those kind of videos. I'll leave that to them. I'll just say my favorite ones. We see Scanlan's gold records with all the major songs that he's sung so far in the series. The painting of Pike and Scanlan on the back of a white stallion, which he commissioned in Whitestone in the campaign right after they defeated the Briarwoods. We see a nude statue of Scanlan, which is anatomically accurate. They do the cannonball contest in the pool, just like in the campaign. And of course, the goldfish. Who could forget about the goldfish? And all of this accompanied by another amazing song by Sam Riegel and Peter Habib, the Chateau de Scanlan. Another song that I'm probably going to memorize, but I promise you I won't sing it at the top of the video next week. And the amazing montage ends, and we cut to one of the most famous scenes from the campaign that even people who haven't seen it are aware of it, which is the infamous hot tub scene, where we find Percy relaxing in a hot tub. Vax shows up. I know a lot of people were probably fixated on Vax's amazing physique, but what I was fixated on was the fact that he could take off the Deathwalker's ward. I didn't know he could do that. I guess he can do that now that he has made peace with the Matron of Ravens. He can take it off. All right, well, good for him. The point is, he gets in the hot tub with Percy, and they have a heart-to-heart, and they finally let bygones be bygones. He forgives him for accidentally killing Vex back in the tomb of the Matron of Ravens. They do the man nod. Vax gets out of the hot tub and leaves, only to reveal that Vex was under the water the whole freaking time. But I laughed so freaking hard when she came out of the water. It turns out that she was hiding there all along. That was great. Grog, Allura, and Pike test the plate of the Dawn Martyr, see if Pike can figure out how to use it. This is in reference to something that really happens in the campaign, but much earlier, while they are in the mansion, but in the Fey realm, where Grog and Scanlan are the ones that are testing their vestiges back and forth, and of course, hurting each other very, very badly while they're doing this. But the point of the scene is that Pike hasn't quite mastered her vestige yet. While Percy and Vex's relationship is going magnificently, Vax and Keyleth have yet another awkward conversation that ends with Keyleth being left alone in her room. And while all of this is happening, Scanlan reveals to Pike that he has a great deal of regret of how things went down with Kaylee, and he hopes to make that right somehow, but he just doesn't know, as he is, for the first time in his life, caring for somebody that isn't him. We cut to a wonderful breakfast scene where, of course, the only thing that they're eating is rotisserie chicken, because that's the only food that the mansion can make, and that is canonically accurate to the campaign. Chicken and mimosas apparently are the only food items that can be produced within the magnificent mansion. Keyleth, of course, complains about chicken being the only thing that is available to eat because she is a vegetarian. My question is, she has the ability to manipulate plants. Can't she just grow her own vegetables? Anyway, so everybody's strategizing, trying to figure out what they're going to do next. They're going to rely on Rayshon anymore. Are they going to break off that agreement with her? Are they going to go and fight Thordak head on? And the whole meeting is broken by Scanlan just crying aloud that he just screwed up things with his daughter and he can't think of anything else but that, and he walks away. So now the entire party is aware of Scanlan's illegitimate child. Pike runs after Scanlan and tries to console him, and he's really sad, so she offers him to show him Kaylee, show him where she is right now and see that she's okay. And he looks, sees her at a club in Nicodranus, which is where Jester Lavore is from, and sees that she's actually pretty sad, and she also regrets the fact that she didn't give him a chance, which immediately starts giving Scanlan an idea. So they leave the magnificent mansion, or the Chateau de Shorthalt, and they go to teleport back to Whitestone. And in the middle of this teleportation, Scanlan steps out of the circle and allows the party to leave with him, as he plans to go to Nicodranus and make things right with Kaylee. We cut to Whitestone. Our heroes arrive only to discover that the city is under attack by Thordak's babies. They're all ravishing the city, just destroying it. They go in, and it's just, there's so much going on that they have no choice but to do the creative team of the show's favorite thing: split the party. Everybody goes in different directions and does different things. Pike and Lady Kima go to try and rescue civilians. Allura and Keyleth try to save the Sun Tree from burning down, the holy symbol of the city. Vax flies overhead trying to lure the dragons away. Grog, Vexalia, and Percy go to the castle to try and rescue Cassandra, Percy's sister. They do their absolute best to fight off the dragons. They save some people. They save the Sentry. They save Cassandra. However, most of the roof of the castle collapses in the process. Percy's home is left in ruins. Not completely destroyed, but it's in ruins. And right when that happens, the baby dragons just leave. They just leave the city completely devastated. It is at this moment that Vex'ahlia notices that Scanlan is missing for the first time, and understandably, she's pretty pissed off about it. Our heroes have a confab and allude to the fact that this might have been Rayshon's doing. Rayshawn might have broken off their deal and told Rayshon was the only dragon that knew where Whitestone was. That's Whitestone was under a force field, and it couldn't be seen. It was under a glimmer. It was invisible to everyone. But she, at the end of season 2, somehow penetrated that shield and confronted them, revealing that, hey, I know where Whitestone is. So, of course, they blame her, say her name, and she appears. I believe in Rayshon. She shows up the moment they start talking crap about her. They confront one another, and at this moment, finally, Vox Machina agrees with Keyleth and decide they need to stop dealing with her. They need to stop trusting her. Her nickname is the Deceased Deceiver for a reason. So they're about to fight her. Percy takes out his gun, fires it into the air, and says, stop. It wasn't her. It was Dr. Anna Ripley. She would be the one who would be devious enough to suggest Whitestone as a target to Thordak. Rayshon, says, okay, we're done. I'm done with all of you. I'm leaving. I look forward to seeing you gasp for your final breath, and disappears. We cut to the ruins of Castle Whitestone, and Percy is just solemnly looking at what used to be his home. Vex'ahlia comes up to console him and try to make him feel better, and suddenly Percy starts talking about vengeance, about scouring his hands with the blood of Ripley. And the lenses of his glasses catch a flare. We see them light up, and hinting at the possibility of the vengeful version of Percy coming back. And that's where we end. And fanboys and fangirls, critters of all sorts, we are at the halfway point. And I don't mean just the halfway point of the season. I mean the halfway point of the entire series. Assuming that things go according to plan and we get 2 more seasons, and those 2 seasons have 12 episodes each, that would be 60 episodes. We just watched episode 30. We are at the halfway point of the show. Holy crap. And also the halfway point of the season that promises to be the Empire Strikes Back of Critical Role. The episode where the heroes are going to get spanked, and so will the audience. This is going to hurt. Things are only going to get worse. So here's the hoping. Can't wait to see the rest. But unlike most people that can't wait for the next episode, I definitely need 7 days to digest this because so much happened. I'll see you then. Oh man, is it Thursday yet?